Hey, everybody. Welcome to the huddle. We come at you every single Tuesday to discuss maintaining forward progress in your flooring career. We really designed the podcast around that particular thing, maintaining forward progress in your flooring career. So we go over topics and best practices and, opportunities to improve your business every week. With me, as always, is Mr. Daniel and Jose Gonzalez with Preferred Flooring out of Michigan. I'm Paul Stewart with Go Carrera and Stewart and Associates. This week is part three of a four-part series based on relationships, or centered on relationships. We talked about general contractors last week, where is the bulk of our business and most of what I've done over my career. This week we're talking about homeowners, and that is your guys's I think silo better than myself. We do maybe 5 homes a year. Generally it's a general contractor's house or one of our architects' house or something like that. We don't really have a showroom or anything like that from a residential standpoint. That being said, I've done some quite a bit over my career, but dealing with homeowners typically brings some particular pitfalls and particular advantages as well, and some opportunities. So I thought we'd start off with me just telling a brief history, because we don't do that much. So mine's going to be real brief, and then I'll turn it over to you guys, and we can have a good discussion based on how to build relationships with these homeowners, so you can get some repeat business and have a great reputation. So most of my career has been in commercial flooring, and that's how it started. When I started subcontracting around 98, I obviously did some residential work. I had both gamuts of residential work back then, and it wasn't really dealing directly with homeowners much. I was working with a really high-end interior designer, and so I do a lot of wool carpet and things like that. And I really got my butt handed to me a few times on that. I hadn't been properly trained on how to install wool, and we'll just leave it at that. And then I had a guy that owned, I guess you call him a slumlord is the best slang word to use. He owns a very large portion of an area that used to be military housing, and really kind of lower end homes. And back in the old LD Brinkman days, I would buy carpet from LD Brinkman and sell the whole package to him for $9 a yard installed. So I did everything from installing $12 a yard for just installation on the wool to $9 a yard furnish, carpet, pad, and installation. We did a brief time in 2002. We had the first, to my knowledge, the first real mobile showroom. And at the time, we had taken a 8-foot box truck and turned it into a showroom, and started doing residential. We did that for about a year, figured out real quick that it just was not real. It didn't fit our wheelhouse of business, and so we got out of it. But a few things I learned in that time. Homeowners value their vacation almost as much as their money. And if you mess up their vacation to replace their carpet and you do not get their carpet done in time, or something goes wrong, you are in trouble. Or at least that was my experience. I hate to say this, and I'd love to see if you guys have a counter or if I'm just off on this with my limited amount of experience, but I found them often working to try to get something for free, or we scratched something that they wanted replaced. And every time we got those items brought up, it was just not a fun discussion. So we were in it for a year. We did a bunch of work in that year, but I found it was just complicated to operate from a commercial mindset and do residential. So that's kind of my limited experience. What is your guys's? I know you guys have done residential, still do residential. Probably much better suited to talk about this topic and how you guys have succeeded in building those relationships with those homeowners. So kick it off. Whoever wants to jump.
I'll go ahead and get started. And I just want to clarify. Yes, we do commercial and residential, but we are still primarily a commercial outfit. The residential that we have obtained is through our connections through the general trades, or through the support that we've given to our school district, and it's kind of returning the favor. It's kind of on full circle over the panel, from helping out little leagues and school teams and all that. So residential won't be our first choice. It wouldn't be, because there is a lot to it that we still need to work on. All right, like you said, the small little things. Because me as a consumer, I know that I'm very picky, right? And I expect the homeowners to be as well. And it's just one of those things where if you grew up in the commercial industry and you step into someone's home, totally different atmosphere. You have to prepare yourself for change.
Can I? Oh, looks like we dropped him. You're on mute there, Daniel. It looks like we dropped Jose.
I tell him to shut his video. Here he goes. See
Would you
back on?
Could you clarify maybe Daniel real quick? Did you guys start in commercial, or did you start in residential, or did you just kind of out of the gate do both?
They said turn your video off to save bandwidth. But
so
we started in commercial, right? So that's where everything started from. And then like you see something, and it's like in the book Traction, they call it shiny things. Hey, residential just fall into my lap. Let me see what happens. And you start going over there and then dealing with the homeowners and stuff. And personally, I don't like residential. Like when something like that comes across, I'm just like, hey, you guys can handle this. I can handle something else, because I don't have that, like, kind of like we were talking about with Crystal, like she has that the patience and stuff to deal with people. And in the commercial world, we were talking like, I'm more, let me get in there, boom, boom, boom. Things are going to go my way. That's how it's going to be. With homeowners, it's a little more, where can I be today? Well, how can we work with you? Because that's their home, man. That's something that that's their livelihood, right? It's not something that they're just going to go in and work 8 hours and then skate. It's where they're going to come home to try and be themselves after work. And that's a little bit more tricky to work around than it is to when you're in a commercial world and you're just, balls to the wall trying to get everything done that you can. It's more give and take than the commercial world. So we started in the commercial. We are doing residential, and it's not something that we advertise.
So you guys are a lot like us then, just maybe still doing more. It sounded like you guys did a fair amount, and maybe but it appears you're about like us, like you really started in commercial, did commercial, and then the residential that comes your way you do, but you don't get out, advertise, have
right. And we tell people straight up, when they come to us, it's if we're really, residentially, if we're being put against other people into like a bid situation, like they're getting numerous quotes, we'll pretty much lose every time. The guys that, and it sucks for these guys because we know them and we talk to them on a regular basis, but the rates that some of these stores are going in at is like the only way for them to make money for the most part is to cut corners wherever they can and bang out as much yardage in a day as they can. And we try and sell our jobs so it's not like that. So, you know, when someone goes in there, it's we're using seam sealer, we're using the right kind of tape, we're power stretching, we're not just kicking stuff in. And that's it's hard to explain to people sometimes the difference because all they look at is the bottom dollar and they don't look at what they're getting with that money. It's low is best because I'm trying to spend the least amount of money, and it isn't until, you know, they get burned. And a lot of the stuff that we actually get residentially is from people that have been burned by some of the bigger guys in town, and they're like, we don't want to deal with them anymore. Can you help me?
Yeah, can you guys hear me at all?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, Daniel's right, but about all that. And I do a lot of the residential bids or estimates, I would say, because they're not really bids. And he's absolutely right. We don't aggressively go after them, but the ones we do get, we're sought after because of the issues, and we're problem solvers. And I don't know how much of that conversation you guys got before my screen just flashed, went blank.
It's funny, Daniel's in the Bahamas and is just looking awesome, sounding great. You're right here in the US and we're having tech difficulties there.
Yeah, I'm sitting out in front of a Home Depot because it was the closest parking lot to pull over. It's probably
Got
what it is. They're stealing my signal.
So how many residential projects will you guys do in a year?
We've had quite a few this year, a
It's
lot.
it's actually that segment of our stuff is growing, and we went from like 2% a few years ago to we're probably pushing around, you know, 8 to 10% right now. I'm guessing. I haven't ran the numbers, but
That's fairly accurate. I feel like that's fairly accurate, right in the 10% mark. We have some
Awesome.
promotions going on here, huh?
Yeah. Charlotte, welcome to the call.
Thank you.
So, you guys do a fair amount of residential. Go ahead and let's get into the relationship piece of that. What's the trick? What's your guys' approach to dealing with homeowners and making them raging fans of your company or your installation business or whatever you guys may be a part of? Jose, Daniel, anyone?
Well,
Okay,
all
so-
we pretty much do is residential. So we're Craftsman Hardwood Flooring in San Angelo, Texas, and that's our main clientele is homeowners. We pretty much, you know, are a craftsman store. We're about our services, our customer service, our craftsmanship, and people kind of just know us and they'll gravitate towards us versus, you know, going to we basically specialize in hardwood, some laminate, but mostly just hardwood. We do custom design floors, you know, herringbone patterns and stuff like that. And so, you know, it's basically we're just marketing ourselves as, you know, the people to come to if you need, you know, floor restoration or if you need hardwood flooring. I mean, and they pretty much we just got a reputation around in the area.
Yeah, and so you're a niche flooring company, so you kind of stay in that one vertical or somewhere close to it with hardwoods and custom work.
Mhm.
Is there other competitors in your area that do at least have the same approach as you guys?
No, there's no one in the area that just specializes in what we do. I mean, people know that we are the go-to in this area. There is other hardwood installers. I mean, as far as we know, there's maybe one other one, and he only does solid hardwood on restorations in the old homes. The other companies, we used to work for a lot of the other companies in the area before we opened up our retail end of the store. So they can't call us anymore. So I really have no idea who they're using. But we end up, going back and, like Jose was saying, going back and fixing, other people's problems, So my son Matt Garcia is the owner of the store, and he's just like super meticulous about not making mistakes. We rarely have any job that, has messed up and to go back with. And like I said, we're going back in the area and fixing other people's mistakes.
So what kind of challenges and maybe some pitfalls that we can share with the audience on dealing with homeowners in general, and how do you build those relationships? You're unique because you have a bit of advantage being kind of the only one doing that in your area, but you still have to satisfy the client and take care of the client and do the right thing. So,
Mr. John does a lot. He does
and
everything.
so how do you do that and maintain that loyalty from the homeowner?
Well, the first of all, we try, we're geared to, I'm the salesperson in the store. So, they call on the first person that they touch base with here. And so, we talk about, I don't get into like what they want or what, whatever. We talk about their projects, what is their lifestyle, their family, dogs, and, honestly, we want to get them the right product. If we're not the right product, we'll send them to somebody that will be the right product. And so that's how we get their loyalty. In fact, this morning I had a client that actually ended up not using us because of her budget, and we understood that. And she's bringing another client in that does have the budget to come in and look at the floors that we provide here. And so that's the ultimate of loyalty. She wasn't even our customer, but she loved the way that we went out there. Matt had done a custom design for her. When it was all done and said, she just didn't have it in her budget. And sometimes that's just the way it is. But the fact that she's bringing another client back to us speaks huge. So it's basically, we're not trying to, make money off of them. We really want to provide a service. We want to solve their problems. We want to, be able to give them what they want. We want them to come back in 10 years and say, I'm so glad that you talked me into this flooring. Because if I would have went with, per se vinyl plank, it would have been replaced by now, but this floor still looks beautiful 10 years later. And that's exactly what you told us. And we also guarantee, Matt will go back and look. We do the lifetime of the floor guarantee, which means, obviously if there's, flooding or something like that, that's not included. But, if it, for some reason, something pops somewhere, I mean, Matt will just go check it out. It's no big deal. It's like, that's just part of our customer service, is to be there. We answer the phones, we make them feel like whatever their problem is important.
So
Yeah.
last week when we were talking about general contractors and such, we discussed actually showing them you care. It sounds like that's what you do with the homeowners. You prove you actually care at the end of the day what they end up with, and that their long-term happiness with their floor is utmost important to you.
And
And
Jimmy,
we follow up with them too. I've developed a basket that I give them that has cleaning instructions for how to take care of their hardwood floors, what products to use, what products not to use, which is huge. We provide that follow-up service, and they really appreciate it. And we're providing a quality service for them, and that we truly, Matt's the same way as me. I can sell ice to an Eskimo, but only if I believe in the ice.
Yeah. What
So
about
Jimmy
you, John?
from-
Welcome to the call.
Jimmy
Yeah,
from
thank you.
Facebook
Oh,
said
go ahead,
that
Daniel.
it's about customer expectation. Be precise and detailed on what the customer is to expect and what they expect from you. Always under promise and over deliver. It's kind of, where you're getting at with
That's
everything
universal.
afterwards, right? Because not a lot of other stores are gonna provide that kind of information or the actual cleaning materials and stuff like that. So that's awesome that you guys do that.
Yeah. John, welcome to the call.
Yeah, thank you. Honored to be here. And I caught the first part, and I am mainly a residential installer. I kind of go with the slogan of a man in a van, and I sell it all, I install it all. But we were talking about, I get when your business gets to a certain size, it's hard to be competitive in a residential market. And me even being a smaller size, it's at times difficult. But I think the challenges, that I look at that I see in my area might be, different from other areas.
What is your area, John?
So rural, blue collar, working class, and that's what I have.
John, this is your time for a plug, brother. This is
Yeah.
your time
Where
for
are
a
you?
plug.
What's
Plug it
the name
in.
of your place and where
Yeah.
you're at?
So I got Steyer Flooring here in Algona, Iowa. It is truly we are in the middle of nowhere. I was just down in Wichita, Kansas, and I thought, some of those areas just definitely reminded me on the drive there of Algona, but definitely Midwest town. I mean, real just kind of a homebody type people. And that's my customer base, and I'm aware of it. And I know that's the clientele that I want to serve. And so one comment that I wanted to make is because I heard this, while I was actually down in Wichita, and it just comes to, pricing, you get in that residential market, and everybody's on a race to the bottom. And I truly don't believe that's true. And I think you can see that with just how people live their lives now. You can pull into somebody's driveway and I'm, before I even go into that house, I'm looking around like, okay, they've got a well-kept yard. Their vehicles are clean. Their garage is organized. These people like nice stuff. So to me, that's almost kind of easy to sell at that point, because you can sell value. These people understand it. Where vice versa, I get maybe if you're not in a neighborhood like that might be a challenge moving forward.
I think some of it may be your average homeowner is not, when we're taking residential and commercial and like comparing them a bit, your average homeowner it's harder to sell value when they don't understand the difference between one carpet and the next, or one LVT in the next. And they look at you, maybe not in your area, but in a lot of areas, they look at the salesman as just that, a salesman. Whereas when you're talking to an architect or general contractor about, what floor is appropriate for their project, you're talking they understand some of the terminology, whether you're talking about different types of vinyl for a hospital or different types of carpet and why to use that type of carpet in this area versus another. You got a little bit of understanding there. I think you just have to educate the homeowner more. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah. People will, and that's the uniqueness, I think, of what I have is, as I'm the guy coming back to put it in. So they're already reaching out to, hey, we need to know, we want carpet, but should we put carpet in our hallway? Because we're unsure of, we got a very busy household. And I think
only in the bathrooms.
Only in the bathroom. Yeah. You got boys, we want shag up the walls. I'm very comfortable in the residential market. I am. And I think it's a lot. Daniel made the comment that it is, when you work, I'll kind of get a little sidetracked, but I'll come right back. 2 commercial jobs I sold this year are 10% of my total gross sales, only 2. So that just goes to show you that it don't take a whole lot of work on that side to keep a guy like me busy. So I get that. So when you're doing like residential and I've got, let's say 4 jobs that week, I got 4 personalities I got to juggle, and I got to get in the right mindset that, okay,
That's a
this
great
is,
way to put it.
yes. So it does take a unique individual to do that. And even as an installer, where you might not be on the part of the sales part of it, you're just showing up to do the install. You've got to have that mindset that today you might be in Mrs. Jones' home and she's very quiet and keeps to herself. And then tomorrow you're in Tom's home and he's a lonely guy that just wants to chit chat your ear off. And how do you balance that and continue working and be known as, this is the go-to guy, because you can not only are you a craftsman with your hand and your skills, but you have some, I'm going to use the word like maybe some verbal judo to some degree, where you can,
I like it.
you can take on those situations.
And what's
You know,
your,
and I know John. I know John too. Like on a personal level too. Like John is very good at articulating himself, and he is very versatile in any atmosphere. So that helps him out too. And maybe that's one of those things where it definitely helps to be able to articulate yourself and be like what Bruce Lee, be like water, my friend.
Yeah.
A quick observation, John, here is you got to be aware. It sounds like to me you're super aware of who you're dealing with. Being aware of their home when you pull up, or the type of person, and being able to, like you said, kind of verbal judo, or probably even personality judo in a way, being able to deal with all the different personalities and make people feel important. I do know from a human perspective, like we all want to feel important. We all want to feel like somebody's noticing us and feel like we're valued. So when you're able to do that, obviously that resides well with them. I got a follow-up question. I know Daniel wants to say something, but just real quick. What are some of the key pitfalls, so we can add some value to people watching? What are some key pitfalls that somebody, maybe whether they're new to the flooring industry altogether, or maybe someone like myself who does commercial mostly, what are some of the pitfalls with homeowners, and kind of how do you maneuver around those or turn them into a superpower? What do you do there, and what are those pitfalls?
For me, it's kind of like what Charlotte said. I live in a very rural area. I'm going to see my clients at a football game. I'm going to see my clients at the grocery store, and it's providing that service that might not even be a flooring service. I might be at their house and their air conditioner and this is a true story. Their air conditioner ain't working and they can't, who do I call to fix my air conditioner? And it might just be, we're all contractors. We all got each other's phone numbers. I'm going to call it. I'm going to sound like I'm real important. Oh yeah, this is John Steyer Flooring over at Mrs. Jones. Her air conditioner ain't working. One of you guys get down there? And so I might not win that job because it might be one that's just a budgeted job, and I personally, I'm not the guy for those jobs. Like, I'm not the race to the bottom, sharpen the pencil kind of guy. It is what it is. But I think one thing, going back to, it is learning communication and soft skills, and I think that is such a tough thing. I think people either just have the ability to learn it or to conquer it, or they just don't have it. It is a tough skill. And I think as a residential installer, it's almost like that is the one thing that's going to set you above anybody, because they're going to remember how nice you were or how pleasant you were, because they don't understand the whole technical point of installation, but they understand human nature and how you treated them.
Good insight. I think that just a side note is I don't want people to be discouraged here. I would tell you that, John, the way you deal with people is the exact opposite of how I dealt with people, which is probably a good testament to why I didn't do so well in the residential world. I didn't. I was really pretty young at the time, but I was there to provide a service. Figured if I did good install, I didn't have to be the most personable person. I didn't know anything about human nature or humans as a, like human needs or understanding people's problems. I just was there. I was a good installer. I'm here to install your floor. If you want to chit chat, I might give you 5 or 10 minutes at the end of the job, but that's about all I got for you. You've really, it sounds like you and Charlotte and Charlotte's son. I'm sorry, Charlotte, I forgot his name off the top of my head here, but
Matt Garcia.
Matt, yeah. So you guys tend to have that that skill almost already built in. I had to learn it. It took me a long time to learn. But guys, I'm telling you now, you can learn the skill. It really is based on human emotion and human tendencies and the human needs. You can investigate and research those 3 topics and really dive in, and you can get a lot better at it. If you are like the old Paul that was kind of a jerk and didn't, I wanted to do good work, but I wasn't the most personable person. So yeah, anyway, just wanted to point out that there you can get better, but you sound like you got it in spades.
Yeah, and I was gonna ask, because you said that you don't really do the race to the bottom thing, but I didn't know how your competition was. Do you have a lot of people that are around like that? Because we get some people that come to us and it's like, this is the material I want, and we're sometimes we're like, you should not use this material. But they're the salesmen that they talked to before, like sold them on it so well that they do not want to change their mind. And how do you go about something like that?
I truthfully don't ever believe in changing somebody's mind. That's led to me in the past with that buyer's remorse. And I hate that, where they just, they've come in, they've wanted something. I can't get it. I don't want to get it. Or for whatever reason, I've got them to switch. I think that's the one unique thing about small communities. We are not saturated in my area with flooring installers, flooring stores. I mean, it's slim. There's more. If I wanted to get a divorce today, I could find more lawyers to help me than if I needed my carpet bedroom installed. I mean, truthfully. And that is the one benefit we have around here is, yes, I know I'm higher priced than a lot of places. I mean, truthfully, I just don't have a way of knowing how much shopping around goes in. I do know that when I get asked to bid projects, like we need a bid, we're accepting bids, I am upfront with them right away that, for me to bid this, I just want you to know that I'm not gonna I'm gonna miss something if I'm the lowest guy on this bid. Like there's something I'm leaving out. So if they know that going into it, it kind of just saves me that time there too of not having to deal with that. But I'm very well aware that like in your case, Daniel, with what you guys do, I mean, everybody's trying to get in there, and it can be a matter of just a couple bucks on a huge project that sets you apart from the next one. And it might not be, you guys might all be good, all good installers, all great salesmen. I just don't deal with that a whole lot in my area. So that's my one plug for living in rural America right there.
That's actually pretty good, man. And so you have an opportunity to, I don't want to say control the market, but you're essentially setting a standard in your area, and that's awesome.
Well, still, I mean, just guessing, there's still other options, right?
Correct.
So back to the pitfall, because I really want to make sure that we focus on the relationship that you get with it. Do you get a lot of return customers?
Yes. So that's what's gonna keep me in business.
So how did you? What are the things that were tough to deal with a homeowner, but you were able to overcome them and maybe even turn them into a positive? Like what for somebody just watching, like they're going to go into their first homeowner's appointment. The homeowner wants whatever it is. You can make the story up, but they're going in and going to show some flooring, or someone comes into the showroom. It's their first experience. What should they expect from homeowners that you found unique to kind of your business? And then how do you overcome that?
As great as Google and the internet is, they're still, this is for me, they're still coming in wanting to know what to do. And I can send it to me, it's tough to get the point. They'll go online, they'll read, I want vinyl plank flooring, I need vinyl plank flooring. And you think, oh yeah, I got a great sale here we go. And you go to the house and it turns out that they've got 4 layers of something over here, carpet in here. That is a big floor prep is a big obstacle in my opinion, for me, for residential remodel. And I'm still working on it, because my floor prep can be way more than anything else on that estimate. And so when my customer's in the shop, they come in here, and I'm pretty good with my numbers. Like, I know what my square foot price of carpet's going to cost. I roughly know what my square foot of labor is going to be, but I never know what floor prep's going to be. And so I quote them X amount of dollars square foot, and I go look at their project, and they've got ceramic tile laid on top of sheet vinyl with 2 layers of 1/4-inch subfloor, and the doors are barely opening right now. And it's hard to, at that point, articulate the amount of cost it's going to take for them to put this new floor in, and, address the door, the height issues, address issues with appliances, address base moldings. And so I would say, as a new installer, you want to make yourself very aware of everything else that goes into play when purchasing, a floor like that. It's not, because you can't go in. I mean, it's going to be really hard for you to say, yeah, we're going to come in and just demo out your house when you're living in here, but you got to come in with a bunch of jackhammers and shop vacs. And I mean, that's something that really needs to be addressed right up hand.
So kind of based on what he's saying right now and what I've seen on some of the retailer groups, it's completely different, because he's make sure you have all this stuff in line. You go on those retailer groups where it's just store owners and they sub out most or all of their work, and they always say, sell the job, worry about the details later. Sell, worry about all that stuff later. And then it gets to a point to where it's well, who's going to end up worrying about it? Probably the installer that walks in the door. And then we look like the a-holes, because it's ooh, there's a bunch of stuff here that we're going to have to address.
Yeah.
I've always thought that the retail salespeople have got to have, because they get complained about a lot. I don't have enough history myself to say good, speak good or negative comments about it. All I can tell you is that on the Facebook groups or different, installer conventions, it's the salesman at a retail store is the most hated person.
It is.
There's a lot of information, I think, that they don't add in there. And
well, they need to be up front. Here's what I've heard from both Charlotte and John. Educational selling. Educate your client on what to expect. Educate, and that bodes right with what the one of the audience members brought up there, Daniel, right? The setting the expectation.
Yep.
Yeah. So educating your client on what to expect on a floor prep situation, or what to expect long-term from a flooring that they want. And then managing that expectation so that when they get that thing, that end result, that they get what they expected. That's what I hear the most. I think that's the problem with regular salesmen. You're going to go install it, John. So you're going to sell it the way that you're going to install it. A salesman's trying to get a sell is almost fearful of the flooring the real issue, like you said, that could be even more expensive than the flooring itself is the demo and the floor prep.
Yes.
And that's a gross I think that's, how do I put this? That's a terrible way to get a sale, because then the person following you, like Daniel alluded to there, when you're going in afterwards, or going in to install the flooring, the installer that's there is at a disadvantage from day one. He's got to tell them, oh, you got, 75 bags of self-leveling that's needed in this facility or in your home. Well, how much is that going to cost? Oh, installed, it's probably around $80 a bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the
We've
salesman,
run into situations like that too. And because we were the installation outfit who did the sale, it was a little bit easier to explain, right? But like if I'll put an example, we had a gentleman doing some carpet on another one of our installs on a residential job, and he came back and said, "Hey, there's some issues with this floor, and dude, like they did chicken wire and they packed concrete in there over a wood
Ooh.
substrate, and and it was like, all right, dude, I know that you're not going to deal with that. I'll just come in, I'll deal with it, and you got to let the client know, and it's hard to prep anybody for that, but like you said, if you're not prepping, if the salesperson isn't prepping for circumstances that could happen as a variable, the installer is looking bad, because now the installer's looking like their hand is out wanting more money. And they're just a middleman or they're putting the salesperson to the point to be middleman, where they have to mediate. And who's going to lose? Like, I've been on the losing side of that as the installer for another company on a residential job, or even directly to a homeowner. Those are hard to maintain relationships with, because you do look like the bad guy. And the way John said
it feels like a bait and switch, doesn't it? If I'm a
It
homeowner,
does.
I'm told that it's going to cost me, $4,000 for this new LVT in my home, and then the installer says I need to spend another $3,000 to actually do it. Well, it feels like a bait and switch to a homeowner, I would guess.
Right. And that's where we talked about last week too, when we were talking about like moisture mitigation and stuff. It's like, I don't want to do this. Like,
Yeah.
in a perfect world, I'd just go in there, lay the floor, and be done. That's what I want to do. But if we don't, you're not going to be happy.
Yeah, I think it sounds like to me, one of the most important parts to all this, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's just educating the homeowner on not the processes and the products themselves.
There you go.
And making sure that they're well informed about what they're buying and what they should expect at the end. I mean,
Yeah.
that sounds like most problems.
Their whole, I mean, residential, like you get into it. And the one thing that it doesn't matter. Whatever job you're working on that day, that's the most important job you're going to do. That's just how I've always looked at it. And managing that expectation. And, and Jose is going to comment on this, I know. And I'm not one, I don't like throwing people under the bus. Because so like with sales, I get it, but you only know what you know. And so if we talk about installers not being trained well. What does that say about our sales staff too? If they're not trained, if we're aware of moisture issues, height issues, there's this whole list of stuff that's in our description of our flooring. Our sales staff needs to be aware of it. And I don't think it needs to be overly complicated discussing this with the homeowner. Of these issues that can arise. I mean, I don't think you need to start throwing money around right away. I think it's just more of an issue of, well, I'm going to pull your vent out over here. It looks as though you've got 3 layers of floor. I'm going to put together some options for you. Best procedure to move forward. I'll let you decide and go from there, because once that installer shows up, the last thing he wants to do is make a phone call and have to stop what he's doing because this wasn't addressed.
Well, you think about it, when they send the installers out there, as soon as he stops, he's not making any more money.
100%.
Well, and
100%.
the homeowner, like I said at the very beginning, you know, they really value their time off. I mean, one of the biggest butt tunes I've ever got in my entire life was from a lady who took off vacation to redo the carpet in her house, and the carpet came in a day late. And I I owed her for her time off, and I owed her for her to reimburse her for her vacation time. I mean, it
wow.
was so like if that's true, and that might just be my experience, but they could be losing those days right there. The homeowner themselves are, I mean, really, both the installer and the homeowner then are the victims of the scenario. I
I
mean,
think that's why we started saying, all right, we'll call you when the carpet gets here to schedule.
Yeah.
thanks.
We
Only about
we're
18
tentatively
years
scheduled
late,
to.
Daniel.
Do you guys, now I got a question for you guys, because, you know, me being where I'm at, we get keys dropped off all the time. We get garage door codes. We get told to help ourselves to the fridge. I mean, is that a common thing in your area, neck of the woods, or is it like what you said there? I've always wondered about that, Paul. Is that a, you know, we expect, you know, part of our installation procedure is the homeowner will be at the house while our crew's working.
Yeah,
Yeah, man,
I
that's
think there's
that's
some that will, you know, in my area, and honestly, I can't speak. I could tell you that all my clients like give us keys and stuff, but it's a little bit different because they're a general contractor. We do all their, you know, work for or whatever. I think, what about you guys, Daniel and
I think
Sean?
most of the time the ones that I've worked on, they actually like to be there the entire time. There's sometimes when I'm there and it isn't until, you know, they get that face to face, they talk to you for a little bit and then they're like,
yeah.
all right, you guys good? All right.
Yep.
Yep. So most of the residential sales go through me. And when through the whole process, I reassure them that, you know, they've had a lot of people have had bad experiences, and that's what led them to us in the first place. And I reassure them over and over again that this is our profession. This is what we do for a living. There's nothing that I am going to do that is going to not have their best interest on the top of my list. And sometimes Daniel's right. Sometimes you start out with the homeowner there, and then once they get a little acclimated to you, they're like, "Oh, you got this. All right, I'm leaving." And we'd rather have it empty because we just like to work, right? But it's not always the case. Sometimes you get those clients that like to learn a little bit and ask you a lot of questions. And that's okay too. And then John, just to go back about your food and all that stuff, like going in the fridge, we've been put in situations like that, and some people, crew wise, some people like to take advantage of that.
Yes.
Some people will prefer not to do that. So we've been the victim of both sides of that, where we felt
I'm always leery with that stuff, man. I don't want to.
We've done it.
I don't
But like,
want to.
you ate all my candy. Like, we didn't,
Yeah.
like two people had some candy. You told us help yourself and set
They
it
call
out.
the
So some might
leftovers.
grab some candy, or the biggest thing is like using the restroom at the residence. Like, that's going to be a make it or break it on the next phone call for sure.
But that's
Sorry,
a big.
guys,
That's
I had a client come in, so I had to dart out for a second. But most of our clients, I mean, we get keys and they're not there. And sometimes they're there because they have to be there and they just stay in another room. I don't know if it's our area and just the high trust factor, but we also focus in on leaving our areas clean and no handprints on the walls and just making sure. We had one of our guys that chews, and you know, it's like whatever, but don't leave your spittoon cup on the job. And he did that like one time, and that was a little annoying, but we try to make them very conscientious of being very respectful. Say, hey, this is like your home. I mean, what would you want somebody in your home doing?
Right.
But
If
the
you
trust
had
factor
someone
is pretty
working in
good.
there.
Yeah.
Daniel looks like he's got somebody churning butter in the background.
I know.
I think that's Jose. You made a great point there about the restroom, and so you know I'm going to back up. But you guys remember when COVID hit? That was a big deal for us. Like we went into people's homes. We cleaned their bathrooms just so it would smell clean, because the whole germ thing. That's kind of become like a practice. That's kind of become a practice for us now. Is just we've always got those little bleach wipes. I don't care. I'll put a rubber glove on, clean up everybody's, mess, even if it's your kids. I don't care. I think that's one thing. I tell you what, you want to make somebody's day, have them come home to a clean bathroom, and they know you did it. But we always do ask if, we can use a hall bath or a basement bathroom, because we're at your house working. We don't want to leave to go to the gas station, and we're going to be there 8 hours. You got to, expect us to, we're going to use the bathroom.
Yeah, I'd say commercially, the bathroom thing actually resides pretty well. A lot of times we're using porta johns and such, but once, say on a hotel job, they get the toilets in the upper floors, and people start using the bathrooms, and they start looking
like contractors are using the bathroom.
Yeah.
we can do. Anybody that watches this on YouTube or is watching now, we can do better, guys. Let's clean up, at least clean
Get
up
some
after
Lysol
ourselves.
wipes.
All right. Well, what we've talked about a lot of I would almost call them sales methods, but they're really relationship building tools. Do you guys do any gift cards at the end, or do you listen to your client? Our business developer, for our company, she's really good in the commercial world, listening to our client, and all of a sudden she'll homemade chili and take it to our contractor's office, or they love chili. She's done that several times. If they like a certain type of movie, she'll just go buy the movie tickets. And these are multi-million-dollar companies that we do business with, but it builds a relationship like crazy. Do you guys do any of those things, like someone loves dogs and you just out of the blue send them a Chewy pack with a whatever? Is any of that a part of your relationship building methods, or is that too cheap?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think about some of that stuff, to be honest with you, and shame on me, I guess, if that is a common thing to do. I mean, we try to do nice things when we can, but I think we talked about it too at a previous conversation about making the uncomfortable, or making the GC uncomfortable, or a homeowner uncomfortable. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm bribing someone to maintain a relationship.
Well, you can bribe a homeowner all you want. There's nothing illegal. Bribing them with gifts. It's a little bit different, if you take and Lori is our business developer's name. She's really cognizant of taking the whole office, for example, the chili, not just some individual guy that she's trying to build a relationship with.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you can do that with homeowners all you want and not break any rules. I was just
in our trade, when a lot of times we're working with builders and their homes are being built, and I've dealt with people for a year and a half. They walk in there, I'm all, hey Katrina, how are you doing? And you build that relationship. And there was another one, she liked wine. I actually moved here from California, from wine country. And I told you we give them a gift basket, but it's a basket. Sometimes there's coffee cups in there or something that's just for them. And I got her one of my favorite bottles of wine and put it in there. So it is super cool when you can meet them. Like, you get them a personalized gift. There was another one that she came in and she had lost her husband and she's moving here. And I put in a little plaque just to encourage her. And I'm super good at customer service, and just to be able to do that. Most of the time it's just a nice basket with something in there, but sometimes especially if I've developed a relationship for over a year with a client and helping them to, design their home and pick out flooring, definitely, I find something cool in there. I like, hey, I push it up to upper management, can I go ahead and just do a little extra for this person? And they're putting reviews on our site. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, those types of things. One of the things we did commercially is we have a client that owns a lot of different restaurants, and they're not franchises. He builds his own brand up, and he'll have 3 or 4 of them. And one of them, we put their logo in their walk-off carpet in their main entrance for him, and it was a big deal to them. Like, they didn't think about it Lori had thought about it, suggested it. I was like, if you don't think they'll mind, let's do it. That would be cool. And, you know, now they walk in and it's a nice vestibule walk-off carpet like normal, except it's got their logo water jetted into it. So just a little, that was an expensive deal, but we'd done a lot of business with them. But you, like you just said, Charlotte, it doesn't have to be huge, grandiose, just showing that you're listening and notice that they like something. It seems to go a long way.
Especially in a town like ours. I mean, there was another client that we've been working with, and just she's been struggling trying to find the right product. She goes to the YMCA gym where I go to, you know, like, hey, I know her kids. And, you know, I know their names. Actually, we have a system when somebody comes in here and they bring in their kids, I write in what their kids' names are. And then when they come back, I'm like, you know, how's little Joey doing, you know, or whatever, or just talk, because, you know, I've got kids. And so, you know, you dress the kids, you dress the mom, you dress the dad, and you just, you know, they're not just a customer, they're a person that's walking in here that needs something, and you want to make sure they're spending a lot of money, and you want to make sure, you know, that you have that kind of relationship. And Jose, it's not bribing, it's just being attentive to the customer, and it's honest. Like, I honestly just really care about my customers. And like I said, you know, some come in and they've got different circumstances going on in their life, and for some reason I become counselor sometimes, and you know, but I listen. You know, it's like you sit there, you just pay attention to their struggles, and go. And I personally just renovated my home and had to have my floors redone by our company, and so I've really got another. I understand what they're going through. It's not fun, you know, you're displaced and all that.
We are super disruptive. I'm surprised anybody ever replaces their floors. I mean, you got to get, you know what I mean? Like, you got to get all the way out of your home. It's expensive, right? You can repaint by moving stuff center, throw some plastic over it, and throw up some paint. Even a high quality painter won't get a thing on nothing, and it's like move back, and you got to move out. You got to move out to do our stuff, and then you know, it's expensive on top of that. Paint a room for $200 or do the floor for, you know, $1,200. So I'm always amazed. Like, it's a big commitment, I think, for people when they go to replace their flooring.
Yeah, it really is. And, you know, I lived in one room, and then when they finally got to that room, minus our guys did it. I had one guy 1 day a week. A floor that should have took 3 weeks took me 5 months. And I was literally moving while they were doing the sanding. I was waiting for the last minute to move out. So when our clients come in here and they start talking about that, it's just a matter of relating my own experiences. I've also had a family, and we lived in one room with a hot plate while they were doing, and obviously we're from multiple generations of floor covering, so we were doing it. But I know what it feels like, and I think just to relate to them and really let them know that you understand where they're at, and we're trying to do our best to get you in there and get the job done for you.
So basically, she's saying, Daniels, that you owe a lot of gift baskets.
I do. I'm like going through gift baskets right now. I was like, I'm out of supplies. I got to go back to Hobby Lobby.
That's cool.
I don't deal with the residential, remember?
Yeah, but you take care of all the back end stuff like that. And Charlotte, just so you know, I didn't call it bribing. I said I just didn't want to feel like I was bribing.
I know.
You.
I'm just teasing you, Jose. I know who you are.
Well, I want to tell everybody thank you for joining Charlotte and John. I appreciate you guys jumping on and giving your experience and freely sharing your I wouldn't call them tactics, but you know, the way that you go about building relationships. I mean, anybody on the call, you should have got some nuggets here. Educational selling works. So educate, and you guys can chime in here, but it seems to me that it's very familiar to me in the commercial world. We have to be pretty educational based on our sales tactics. Maybe even more so on your guys' residential stuff. And then giving a care about the person, maybe listening, tossing a gift basket, or like I said, you know, if somebody's a huge dog lover, Lori will find something that matches. She knows what kind of dog they have. So actually listening and understanding their need and what they enjoy. And you can bring a little, you know, along with the new floor, you can bring a little bit more light to their day by just giving them a nice little gift. Thank you. So that's all good stuff. Those are two big things I think that came out of this call. And I hope people really take it to heart, because you guys, everybody on this call is successful at doing what they're doing. And so it's encouraging to hear some of those, you know, approaches work for both sides of the industry.
Yes.
But there are some specific ways to go, you know, with your homeowners. So
Yeah,
any closing thoughts there by anybody?
Going back to the education, that's one thing that we try to just do is if you educate them and then you let them, you know, pick out what they want once they've been educated. You know, if they sell vinyl plank as being invincible, and it's not. And it's not that we don't want to sell it or do whatever. It's just like, just understand the limitations of the product. So education's huge.
Yeah, waterproof flooring is not waterproof, people.
No. And it's also not scratch resistant. I mean, if you do it hard enough and, you know, you can scratch that floor. I was in the doctor's office and I took a picture of a scratched vinyl plank floor and sent it to my son. I was like, it can scratch.
Yes, it will scratch. In fact, if you got the right dog. So, all right, Jose, Daniel, closing thoughts.
Before we get out of here, the time is almost up for the scholarship. So everyone, get on the scholarship. If you signed up to be a part of the webinar, you'll probably get another email before it ends, I'm assuming. I think I got one today.
Yeah, so what Daniel's talking about is our Forward Progress Scholarship with the FCICA. It's a salesman. You could really benefit from it, honestly. Salesmen at flooring retailers, installers. Several of our guys are CIMs, and it's the Certified Installation Manager through the FCICA. It's a great program. It's valued around $1,300, I believe. So sign up. It's a scholarship, and we're looking forward to giving that out. We have 2 days left for to apply for that scholarship. So if you're interested in kind of learning the best practices and management and things, it's skewed a little bit heavy.
Well, he's a CIM, so he can attest that, you know, there's some great knowledge that you can gain in there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information that they have in there. And I think that the information that is available through the SIM program is worth its weight in gold. If you're a salesperson, it opens up your eyes from the installation aspect. If you're an installer, it opens up your eyes to the sales aspect. It helps bring common ground to the full process versus one side or the other.
Yeah, I agree. I think that that program, anybody from any part, whether you're a salesman, installer, owner, project manager at a commercial firm, can benefit from it. It's got such a wide variety of knowledge and information and education. So I know all this, even though I'm not CIM, because I have several on my staff.
Get there, Paul.
I also have the book. So I've gotten to read through their books and their binders. So again, guys, we've come to the end of the podcast. I say this every week, but man, an hour flies. It was a pleasure. This was fun chatting with everybody and talking through everything.
Thank you guys.
I do have one closing statement.
It was huge, man.
One thing to close out with is good luck, Ma. Kick butt down there, okay?
Oh yeah, she's here. We're in the Bahamas right now because she has a gymnastics competition.
All right.
Go.
Good luck.
Good job.
All right, guys. We will catch you guys next week. And we appreciate Charlotte and John joining. And
100%.
hopefully
Thank
the
you,
audience
Andrew.
got some value. And we'll talk to you guys later. See ya.
All right,
All right,
bye-bye.
see you guys.
Bye.